What is insourcing and what is outsourcing? Well, these terms relate simply to the assignment of tasks or functions within a business. A business may assign these tasks internally to employees to be carried out, or assign them outside of the organization to third-party contractors whom they pay to carry out the function. The employees are under the direct supervision and control of the organization, where these outside contractors are not. They simply are required to complete the task and produce a final product that meets the company's requirements or needs. But they are not under the same level of scrutiny and control that internal employees are. So this is the primary distinction between the two, and the level of control is the primary deciding factor aside from costs. Oftentimes, companies outsource key tasks or functions because those tasks or functions are not within the key knowledge, ability, or understanding of the employees of the organization. They would rather outsource those functions to specialists who have some degree of specialization or ability in carrying out those functions. So specialization is an important factor in determining whether a task is insourced or outsourced. Another primary factor is costs, which brings us to the next factor. Generally, if you're going to outsource within a domestic population, the outsourcing is going to be more expensive than completing the task internally, at least as long as the task is finite in nature and requires a lot of skill that would otherwise need to be developed by the internal employees. You're going to pay a higher price externally. If it's a recurring function where you can hire someone to continually carry on that function, it may be more cost advantageous to hire someone internally to insource that function, if you will. You'll see this routinely with small businesses that outsource functions such as accounting, such as legal functions, but as the organization grows, it may hire attorneys or accountants internally to carry on these functions. This is the transition to an internal function because it's necessary and oftentimes more cost advantageous to have an employee doing these things internally than to pay the higher cost of assigning these tasks externally. Now, when you go to foreign jurisdictions, oftentimes the strength of money, the standard of living, and the cost of employees or contractors to carry on these services is lower than in a domestic location. In those scenarios, it might actually be cheaper to outsource these tasks or functions to third parties in foreign locations to carry out the functions. They may have the level of expertise, ability, skill, and it may fit the scenario where it's non-recurring, non-routine. The amount of control that the organization needs is lower. They simply need the task complete and the work product to be delivered. In these scenarios, it can be highly beneficial to outsource to a foreign location when the cost is equal or less than the cost of insourcing or outsourcing domestically. So this is insourcing versus outsourcing. And to summarize, the considerations for when to insource versus outsource are generally control, skill, costs.